So structure then, like I say, the ideas of the poem are not too hard, I don't think, but the structure is complex. So I recommend just picking bits of structure that make sense to you. Ideally, stay with this poem until you really understand it in depth. But yeah, if you're finding it hard to do structure, just make sure that there's a few things you can pick up on. So a few things that are quite easy about the structure to start with. The opening and ending lines you can always do. You can also look at the fact that it's 3 sentences. So it's a lot of stanzas, but it's just 3 movements. And I think the way that the sentences work is to do with shifts in perspective. So if you're going to analyze those, map them onto perspective, onto like the way that we're looking at the poem. There's also a shift in tense as she talks, as the mother talks, and then it kind of goes into the voice of the children at the end. There's 4 generations in the poem, so structurally you can also look at the different generations and how they're affected by this idea of the kamikaze pilot. So there's the father of the pilot, who is the fisherman, and then there's the pilot himself and his brothers on the beach. Then there's the mother talking about how shameful her father is. And then there's her children that she's telling the story to. So we're really looking at layers of history and the way that cultural beliefs are ingrained across generations. That's a really important idea about culture in the poem. So this is what I've called it. The complex web of intergenerational cultural values that are passed down from parents to children. You don't have to say it in that way, but make sure you understand that idea. The ending, I thought, is really, really clever because it's an anticlimax. It's bathos, and it's just like a very kind of open end. Like it doesn't really end. It's just carrying on, and that's the point. Like he didn't end his life, but he also wasn't allowed to continue living the life he had before. He's got an unhappy life where he's ostracized, he's cast out and ignored. So there's this idea about he's as good as dead now. He's alive, but he's not living and enjoying his life like he was before. So again, that's related to this idea of shame, suffering, suicide missions, honor, Japanese culture, that kind of thing. So hopefully you're still with me and you feel like you know what this poem is doing now. It's just one of those where you want to kind of, I think maybe I read it 4 or 5 times until I got to a point where I was like, yep, I get it now. It's quite easy to get the individual points of it, but the connection is the hard bit. So make sure you understand the whole kind of shape of the poem, not just what an image is or what a stanza does. You want to make sure that you understand the whole overall point of the poem.